Kings Island, Mason, Ohio. This is Clay with the Pennsylvania Roller Coaster Club, and we're going to take a look at the roller coasters at Kings Island and take you on a journey from worst to first. Now, as we do on the channel, before we start talking coasters and ranking credits, we like to take a look at the park itself and explore a little bit of the history that brought us here. Now, before we go any further, I want to take an opportunity to give a shout out to High Sight Drone POV. The footage that you guys are taking a look at here was shot this past weekend at Kings Island Winterfest 2023. And the lights and the sights still absolutely breathtaking. Now guys, Kings Island itself, it opened in April of 1972. But the park was a transplant. So back in the 60s, on the banks of the Ohio River, just outside of downtown Cincinnati, a park named Coney Island would experience just years of on and off flooding issues. Obviously, being in a floodplain on the banks of the river was not the most advantageous place to be if you were going to be running a business. So through the 60s, the park would begin to look for optional plots of land to be able to move, and a place that would be large enough to be able to host an amusement park, and also elevated high enough that they would not have the same flooding issues. So finally deciding on the Kings Mills area, and with the assistance of Taft Broadcasting, finally the dream of Kings Island would come to fruition. Now, since opening in 1972, Kings Island has not finished outside of the top 15 in attendance for the U.S. theme parks. Now, coming in 2024, Kings Island is going to add their 15th roller coaster. Now, this 15th roller coaster, it is very important for a handful of reasons. Well, first off, you're getting a new roller coaster, which is awesome. Second off, Kings Island is notorious for competing with Dollywood year in and year out for the best kids area of any park, and this is going to go a long way to helping them maybe recapture that title. And most importantly and finally, Vekoma back in Kings Island. This is going to mark the third Vekoma for the park. But coming in at number 14, the Great Pumpkin Coaster. Guys, as far as kiddie coasters go, this is one of them. Not too much to speak of here as far as the Great Pumpkin Coaster goes. Not necessarily the demographic that we target here. Thank you, Ian F. Myler, for this install. Number 13, Woodstock Express. Now, Woodstock Express actually opened in 1972 with the park. It is a John Allen design by PTC, Philadelphia Toboggan Company. And this in particular layout and this exact coaster, for lack of better terms, can also be found at a handful of other parks within the Cedar Fair chain. And yeah, I mean, guys, this is a really great ride, and it fits its place in the lineup perfectly as the perfect introduction for kids to their very first wooden roller coaster. Moving on. Number 12, Flying Ace Aerial Chase. As I had mentioned, there are a couple Vekomas that are already currently in the park, and this is one of them. Now, Flying Ace Aerial Chase opened in 2001, and this is one of the previous generation Vekoma kiddie hang and bangs. So a lot of people hate these rides. I don't love them, but I don't hate them as much as many other folks do. as far as, credits go, this is one of them, and it's a great introduction to get kids before Banshee. Number 11, Invertigo. Now, again, another Vekoma. 2 back-to-back. I actually think in the next couple years, Invertigo could move up this list significantly. Now, we had talked about the importance of working with Vekoma again. The only reason that this ride ranks as low as it does is because of the restraints. Now, if Kings Island is working with Vekoma again, and they were to order new trains for this ride, or refurbish the current trains to fit different restraints, this ride could be excellent and in the top 5 or 6 in the park. The reason that I say that is because this type and design is very rare for Vekoma. This is, for lack of better terms, a miniaturized version of what Goliath was supposed to be. And when I say Goliath, I'm referring to the Vekoma version that, they ruined. Moving on, number 10, Adventure Express. Adventure Express, this ride underwent a huge renovation, or at least that is what we thought. Now, the ride itself really didn't have anything done. It is still as janky and uncomfortable as ever. What did go through the rehabbing, if you will, is the area. That whole area of the park got a whole bunch of beautification and work. But the ride itself, if they did do anything to it to improve the ride quality, I did not notice. If you've ridden this ride, all I have to say is Ooga Chaka, Ooga Chaka, Ooga Chaka. Moving on, number 9, Flight of Fear. By far my least favorite of any of the Spaghetti Bowl coasters. For some reason, Kings Island's version is very transitionally rough. A lot of rattle and a lot of head banging on this one in particular. I do not have the same feeling towards Flight of Fear at King's Dominion. I think that theirs is significantly better. I don't know if it is a maintenance issue, which I can't imagine because Kings Island's maintenance team is absolutely top-notch, but for one reason or another, I typically come off of this ride regretting getting on it and leaving with a headache. Moving on, number 8, the Bat. The Bat, guys, I love the Bat. This 1993 Aerodynamics coaster it's awesome. This is a replacement, obviously, for the original Bat that did not have any type of banking on the turns, which I'm sure you can go back and watch an episode of Defunct Land or Problematic Coasters or one of the other great YouTube series that are out talking about the original iteration of the Bat and some of the design flaws that came along with it. However, this newer version of the Bat, it's awesome. This is my favorite of the current operating aero suspended coasters. I think it's still pretty decently intense, and it gives you one heck of a ride. Really do love the Bat, and it's an amazing family coaster. Tucked off in the back of the park, great night ride. Moving on, number 7, Backlot Stunt Coaster. Guys, Premier Rides had developed this not just for Kings Island, but for all of the Paramount parks at the time. Each one of the Paramount parks has one of these rides, and probably for a good reason. These are fun, they pack a punchy little launch, and another great family ride. Moving on, number 6, the Racer. Now, Racer, guys, as you know, this opened with the park and Woodstock Express back in 1972. And just like Woodstock Express, Racer was designed by John Allen of the Philadelphia Toboggan Company. Now, PTC saved the roller coaster enthusiast. Racer saved the roller coaster enthusiast. If it weren't for this ride, guys, the interest in roller coasters and interest in amusement parks, it may never have become what it is today. And a lot of the passion that you and I share for one of our favorite pastimes may not even exist. We're not 100% sure. But what the Racer did do is it started the very first iteration of the roller coaster wars, and that term wouldn't become popular until later, but it doesn't mean that Racer didn't create it. Moving on, number 5, the Beast. When you talk about iconic roller coasters, I'm not sure you can even utilize that phrase without mentioning the Beast in the same, and I mean the very same sentence. This opened, I mean, in 1979, I think? Yeah, 79, I'm pretty sure. 1979, and when it did open, it opened as the fastest, tallest, longest wooden roller coaster in the world. And here we are in 2023, and it's still the longest wooden roller coaster in the world. This thing just takes you deep out into the woods, spanning 7,361 feet of track spread out over 35 acres of wooded hilly terrain. The Beast is truly one of the best night rides on planet Earth. Number 4, Banshee. Now, for some reason, this B&M invert gets way too much hate. I often hear people complain that it rattles. I hear people complain that they don't like the restraints. I hear people complain about a lot of stuff. But I don't think that they have much to complain about Banshee. This is a phenomenal ride. It has an excellent layout. The ride is incredibly long in terms of inverts, and the elements are incredibly intense. The pretzel loop that you get in this is the closest thing to the pretzel loop in a B&M Flyer that you can possibly get. Not as intense, but pretty darn close. I absolutely love this ride, and I love the ride with those comfort collar vest restraints. Much, much better, in my opinion, comparatively to the clamshell clunky over-the-shoulder harnesses. So, as far as I'm concerned, the best B&M invert in the country. Number 3, Mystic Timbers. Now, if you are a fan of wooden roller coasters, you're probably going to like this one. Mystic Timbers, made by GCI, built in 2017. This was thought to be a filler ride when it was announced, and thought to be a filler ride when it was being built. But it did not take too many trains to be dispatched to realize that this was not just a filler ride. Mystic Timbers has one of the greatest and most unique wooden roller coaster layouts that I've ever been on, and that makes it quite fun. Whenever you're not 100% sure what the ride is going to do next, it really adds to the excitement of riding something for the first time, or even for the first few dozen times. But just don't go in the shed. Number 2, Diamondback. Guys, this is an absolute airtime machine. If you are a fan of B&M Hypercoasters, and you're a fan of B&M Hypercoasters because you love floater airtime, Diamondback is the ride for you. In my opinion, this gives the best airtime moments of any of the B&M Hypers. by a pretty significant amount as well. Phenomenal ride, very intense, great speed, great pacing, very, very minimal hits of the trims, which is, why this ride is so phenomenal. And because of how many people love this ride is the reason that they decided to essentially make a clone of it and build Intimidator. Number 1, Orion. So, yeah, Orion. Giga Coaster. That's right, I said it. Giga Coaster. 300-foot drop. That counts. Now, being a guy from Kennywood, I can appreciate the usage of terrain to be able to extend the size of a drop. Apparently, no one else in the country seems to think that seems to count. So, whatever. We'll let them cry over spilled milk. The bottom line is this ride is awesome. Best first drop of any steel coaster on the planet, in my opinion. Absolutely phenomenal pacing. No matter what time of day that you ride this thing, you are going to hit the final brake run screaming. Unlike another Giga Coaster, maybe not going to give you a very good ride first thing in the morning. It doesn't matter what time of day. As I said, it's a banger. Definitely my favorite ride at the park. But, guys, this is just one man's opinion. And probably you don't agree with everything. I'd love to hear the parts that you don't agree with and the parts that you do. If you've enjoyed the video, please, if you could subscribe, we would greatly appreciate it, as it does seem to go quite a long way with helping us fight against the YouTube algorithm. But please sound off below. Let us know your thoughts. Would you have Orion number 1 or number 2 or number 3 or number 4? Where would it fall? Is Diamondback your favorite in the park? Is Mystic Timbers your favorite? How highly do you have Mystic Timbers rated comparatively to other Woodies across the country? How good is it? Guys, I would love to hear your opinions below. But until next time, from all of us here at the Pennsylvania Roller Coaster Club, stay blessed.